And now, live in studio, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. He's a successful entrepreneur, published author, top listing agent, a real estate and finance expert that goes to bat for you every day as a consumer advocate. Your host and the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes.
Yes, here we are again, another day committed to helping you win in any marketplace. Brandon Rhymes here. I'm your host of the Consumer Quarterback Show, powered by the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty here in Tampa Bay. And we are a consumer advocate-based program all about helping you understand your buying decisions and avoiding commission-based advice here in the Tampa Bay and the Gulf Coast region of Florida. And we want to help you win in any marketplace. That is our goal.
The only thing I'm addicted to right now is winning.
Now, we want you to save our hotline number in your phone at some point. You're going to need it, 813-670-7372.
You used to call me on my cell phone.
813-670-7372. Give us a call or a text. Let us know how we can help you. Also, check out our website, consumerqb.com. A plethora of information available for you on our website at consumerqb.com. You can see links to all of our expert contributors, all of our special guests in from time to time there, as well their contact information. You can watch previous shows from our website. And we got a special show lined up for you today. In studio with me, Travis Mcintire, back in studio, 3D Solar. Welcome back, sir.
Thank you, sir. Pleasure to be here.
Yes, sir. What are we going to talk about today?
We're going to talk about a few different things, the tax credit, some of the growth of solar, and then anything that I could think of that may come up at the end that would help the consumer.
Awesome. Yeah, you guys are recognizing the Tampa Bay's Fast 50 ranking in there. I think you were, what was that, number 12?
Yes, sir.
Last year?
Absolutely.
Awesome,
very proud
man. Very cool. So, and you've heard David on our show as well from 3D Solar as well. And we got a special guest on the phone, Mr. Rob Higgins, Tampa Bay Sports Commission. Welcome in. Welcome to the show, Rob.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
Yes, sir. So, yeah, some big things happening in Tampa Bay, man. We really, as a market, I think, what are we, like the 12th or 13th largest market in the United States in terms of, when you look at, TV viewership and population, somewhere in that range. But, yeah, so we got a lot of good things happening here in Tampa Bay, and you and your leadership at the Tampa Bay Sports Commission, you guys are helping bring these awesome events to Tampa Bay.
We're fortunate to be on quite a roll right now. 2 years ago we hosted the College Football Playoff National Championship. That was the event's first trip to the Southeast, and then last year we had the return of the NHL All-Star weekend to Amalie Arena, which was over the top of Gasparilla weekend as well. And then now in less than 3 weeks we have our third NCAA Women's Final Four headed back here to our hometown. And then a couple weeks ago we got the announcement that WrestleMania will come next year for the very first time. Also next year we've got the men's basketball first and second rounds, and of course in a little less than 2 years our fifth Super Bowl. So you talked about our media market being in that 12 or 13 range. There's only 3 cities in the country that have hosted more Super Bowls, and I think that really speaks to just how our community embraces these big events.
Yeah, it really is. It's all the businesses coming together, us having, the infrastructure in place, and so kudos to the, the politicians who got that pushed through. And I remember back before we did the south of the airport there, the 589, the Veterans Toll Road, that was a big mess. But, Tampa International Airport consistently ranking in the top 2 or 3 out of the United States airports. Yeah, there's a lot of factors there, Rob. So give us some behind the scenes stuff. Like what are some things happening that we might not see day to day, like that you guys are seeing and talking about, and how these decisions are made?
Well, I think we certainly spend a lot of time on those major events, but I can tell you one thing that probably doesn't get talked about enough is the amount of time we spend on trying to attract youth and amateur events here that take place each and every weekend. So on average, we host between 100 to 120 of those youth and amateur events a year. Those events generate usually north of 150,000 hotel visitor room nights. So certainly those big events that I referenced that we're fortunate to be on that great roll on are always going to be important to us and are always going to be a focus. But at the same time, The youth and amateur market is certainly our bread and butter, and that's what helps drive the consistent business for our tourism and hospitality community, which has more than 60,000 employees. So on average, we host at least a couple of those events. That's everything from travel soccer to volleyball to hockey, you name it. If it's going to drive sports tourism, we're going to try to go after and bring it home to here to our community.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting, Rob, when you look at the economic impact as well. We're talking with Rob Higgins here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. I'm your host, Brandon Rhymes, and Rob is with the Tampa Sports Commission. And even something like Oldsmar, I was driving through Oldsmar a lot. I kind of go through that Palm Harbor area. We live over in Palm Harbor now, but the Oldsmar area, they just redeveloped that little park into a BMX bike, biker's paradise. I think when I was a kid, I would have loved to see something like that.
Yeah, and there's no doubt that BMX market will pay big dividends for that Oldsmar area. I think communities are trying to find their niche when it comes to what events they're able to attract. When we started in this role with the Sports Commission close to 15 years ago, there was about 100 of our organizations across the country representing their communities. Now you fast forward to today, a decade and a half later, and there's more than 650 of these sports commissions or organizations marketing their community. So the reason why for that significant increase is that communities have seen the ROI when it comes to sports tourism. So each of them are trying to find their own niche. We're fortunate our region has got some great facilities and can accommodate a variety of different sports markets, and we're just trying to do everything we can to get as much of that sports tourism business back home here.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, man. You look at even, events like the WrestleMania. I've got a business with Ken Shamrock, the Ultimate Fighting Champion, and he was in the WWF back in the day. And, I texted him and our other business partner, Des, when I saw that come through on the news alert that popped up. But WrestleMania, that's in itself is a huge event, right?
It's gigantic. And I'll say we've been fortunate to land a lot of events. If you were looking at our wish list of the biggest events we've never had an opportunity to host, WrestleMania would be at the top. And so we're really excited with that announcement. To have it coming here a little less than 13 months is going to be great. There's been a long-standing relationship with WWE. So many of their superstars have called our community home for quite some time, and so it's certainly long overdue. It's an event we've been bidding on for more than 10 years, but I'll tell you, with it being the 36th edition, it's been several more years than 10 in the making in terms of it needing to come home to Tampa.
Yeah, absolutely. And can you give us kind of a peek behind the curtains on that, Rob? Like how does that roll out? Do you submit some type of an RFP, like a request for proposal? How do we gain a competitive advantage from that?
Yeah, every bid process is different. In general, it starts with a request for proposal from the event organizer out to host communities, potential host communities. And in there, they outline what they're looking for in a host community, everything from the facility that the event would take place to the number of hotel rooms they need for those specific dates to ancillary event venues that they need for different functions that surround the main event, to marketing, to you name it, anything and everything that goes into a successful event. And then we'll put together a response and work with our community partners to basically respond to what those needs are and how we can hopefully meet and exceed expectations. And then usually what will happen in a process is once they get all the responses from around the country and in some cases the world, they'll then cut down to finalists. They potentially could come do a site visit and see our bid in person in terms of all the different venues and meet our community partners. And then in some cases it'll also go to an in-person presentation towards the end. So every process is a little bit different in terms of how it shakes out and how the event organizer operates it, but that's traditionally what it would look like.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, man. That's a good example. Appreciate you giving us that insight there. Now, we're talking with Rob Higgins here, Tampa Sports Commission. Now, one of the things also, I think, around these events, it's not just about the big game or the big tournament. There's a lot for people and fans to get involved with outside and around these events. Can you elaborate on that?
Sure. I mean, I'll give you the example of Women's Final Four coming up in less than 3 weeks. We always say, that event is so much more than 3 games with everything going on. And while we have a handful of tickets still remaining, not a lot left, but we have a few still remaining. You can go on WFFTampaBay.com to grab them. Even if you don't have game tickets, there's a lot of ways to get involved and have a great time and create memories with your family. They have their Tourney Town event, which is their interactive fan festival at the Tampa Convention Center that goes that entire weekend. On the actual day of the national championship on April 7th, they have the basketball bounce, which you can register your kids for. They'll get a free T-shirt and free basketball and dribble their way down the river walk as part of a parade of sorts. That's a couple great examples. The other thing that people a lot of times don't necessarily talk about is the volunteers that are needed and the opportunity to be a part of hosting the event. Each of these events traditionally require several thousand volunteerships, and that's certainly something we're going through now in terms of pulling all the hands on deck to be able to help host and welcome visitors. We want to make sure as these visiting fans and teams come here, they've got a great experience, and we need all of Team Tampa Bay to help support that. And so similar to like I referenced from the tickets, and then with all the different event information as well as the volunteer opportunities, you can find those on WFFTampaBay.com.
Excellent. Hey, great stuff, man. Thanks for the insights there. And I think that's a good note to end on is, it is the whole Tampa Bay area as a cumulative that really needs to come together to put these events on, everything from volunteers, as you mentioned, and, local businesses are going to benefit. We're all going to benefit, and we want to be a good host to all these folks coming in from out of town. So thanks so much for visiting us with us, Rob. We really appreciate it.
No, thank you, guys. Appreciate your continued support.
Hey, have a good day, man. Talk to you later. All right, so that was Rob Higgins, the Tampa Sports Commission, here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. When we come back, we got Travis Mcintire in the house. We're going to talk about all things solar and efficiencies, tax incentives, all types of cool stuff here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Stay with us. Do not touch that dial. We'll be right back after this short timeout.
Hey everybody, I'm Forbes Riley, celebrity TV fitness host and creator of The Spin Gym. I'm here today with Brandon Rhymes, and you're listening to the Consumer Quarterback Show. Great ways to get happy, healthy, and wealthy.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com. Ian Beckles.
This is the Cannabis Podcast, powered by TrueLeaf on Radio Influence. It's an inside look and the scientific facts in and around the world of medical cannabis. Now, here is your host, Ian Beckles.
He's a successful entrepreneur, published author, top listing agent, a real estate and finance expert that goes to bat for you every day as a consumer advocate. Your host and the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes. listening to the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. Online at consumerqb.com.
All right, welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us. Brandon Rhymes here. I'm your host of the Consumer Quarterback Show, powered by the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. And we'd love to help you with all your real estate needs. Buying, selling, or investing, we help our sellers maximize the exposure on the sale of their real estate properties. This segment is brought to you by Brothers Easy Moving, the official moving partner of the Consumer Quarterback Show, Brothers Easy Moving. And I can tell you from firsthand experience, they came out, they did a first-class job. And they had 2 trucks. They wrapped all the furniture. They did such a great job helping relieve that stress when it comes to moving. So we just moved recently, and they did a great job. Brothers Easy Moving, the official moving partner of the Consumer Quarterback Show. Give Gary Thacker a call. Let him know that you heard about him here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. And you want to take him up on those special offers and incentives just by mentioning that you're a fan of the Consumer Quarterback Show. And we are back here in studio. We're going to help you win. We got Travis Mcintire in the house, 3D Solar. Also, James DeJerome joining us here as well, our executive show producer in studio. So, Travis, tell us a little bit more about what you guys been up to out there with 3D Solar.
Yes, I appreciate you having me here today. Really, things are exciting. There's a lot of good news to report here. I just saw in the paper the other day that Florida is now the 8th state in the nation with solar installed. So,
wow,
that is great.
Ranked 8 out of the nation?
Yes, sir. 8th state in the nation.
Wow.
Yep.
That represents a move up, pretty significant move up. Is that right, Travis?
Yeah, we were 20. I believe when I started about 2 years ago, we were 24th, and now we've made the jump in less than 2 years to 8th place.
So it's coming. You can tell, Brandon.
That's
in the
really
real
cool.
estate side, you see these houses now. Everybody's got solar. It's coming. That's just the way it's going to be. So you're going to have to figure out how to calculate that into the deal.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. I mean, we went from 202 megawatts installed in 2015 to 2290 megawatts installed in 2018.
Wow.
And in 2018 alone, we added 850 megawatts, which is just fantastic for the consumer.
You think about it. So the state of Florida is going that way, but still, it's just a drop in the bucket, right? Because consider the amount of homes we have and the people moving down here.
With most people listening to this show, if you look around the neighborhoods that you're driving in, you probably still see 1, maybe 2 systems at the most. And the other people that don't have solar, the curiosity is peaking now. It's like, well, what is it going to do for me? So,
yeah, and exactly. And there's probably some prohibitive stuff, like I think some of the tile roofs, isn't it prohibitive on some of those roofs?
Well, it depends on the installation team. That's one thing I pride ourselves with 3D Solar. I mean, most of the time, regardless of the installation, we have the experience and the team and the training to probably overcome any obstacles that we come up with. With tile roofs, you just have to be a little bit more careful because, of course, they can break, and you have to make sure that the installation is just perfect because you don't want to leak. And that's why we offer a 25-year penetration warranty, even on a tile roof, to ease the customer's mind when it comes to purchasing.
So that's the key. I mean, you've got to think about this. It's a long play. Mm-hmm. This is something that's going to be up there for 30 years. Right. So you've got to find somebody you trust, not just on the install side, but they got to support the product for the life of the product.
Right.
So this relationship needs to be one that's going to be positive from day one all the way through, because this is someone you're going to be dealing with over the course of your home. Even if you're going to make the sale, you have the option, of course, to leave those and increase the value of the home, or work out a way to take them down, or that kind of thing has to be handled through the real estate transaction. But the idea that this is going to be part of every home, boy, that's coming no matter what.
Yeah, I like it. And talking about 3D Solar, locally owned, owner started. David Ringo started the business just a few years ago, right?
He did. And Dave is a humble guy. He's the kind of guy that you would never know he's the success that he is. Very humble. Still drives an old truck and not really looking for anything fancy except for taking care of his employees and taking care of the consumer. And with 3D Solar working there, we're about culture. He's very protective of the culture there, and happy people mean happy customers, because if I'm happy with my job, I'm going to go out and show it, and I'm going to do a little bit better job, work harder, maybe stay an hour late because I'm happy with what I'm doing and I want to stay there.
That's right. Yeah, it's a really important part of the process. Mm-hmm. So let's dive into some of the details here when it comes to solar. What, and maybe before we even go into that space, what do you think is holding some people back? Why do some people, what's your common themes that you're hearing?
I think it's just something that's new, and everyone, if I've been paying if a typical homeowner, for example, they pay their same person the electric bill for 20 years.
So they're a Tico customer or whatever they are,
Correct.
FPL.
Tico, Duke, FPL, regardless, but they have their electric bill. Most people don't look at their electric bill. I mean, people honestly don't look at the bill. They don't know how to evaluate the kilowatt hour usage, and they know they have to pay it and have no choice.
They skip to the bottom line.
Yeah, and here's some sales guy shows up, and people they're scared of sales guys, especially in their house, because most salespeople, especially in this business, they're not trained enough to really help the customer make a decision. They're just kind of presenting some basic stuff and hope for the best.
Right.
So the homeowner they're a little nervous, and especially now that when you do solar, it can be a huge financial gain when it comes to saving money every month on that electric bill. And if it's presented right and it's sized right, like we pride ourselves at 3D Solar, you'll save the money that you've been promised.
So the critical piece is that you're paying a utility bill regardless. You don't think of that as a payment. The idea of taking on a loan for a payment, that seems like a burden, but your utility payment is constant. It's not going to stop, and it's subject to inflation from the provider.
Correct.
Yeah.
And a couple of things on that, too. I mean, what people don't realize is that most people take a 20-year note. There's no end to your electric payment. But if you do take a 20-year note, the average payoff on most is 11.7 years. People are paying this off early.
Wow.
And guess what? Once you pay off that bill, you don't have anything but a connection fee. With Duke, for instance, is about $9.32 a month, and that's your bill from there on out.
Wow.
And that's a lot of money to be putting in your pocket every month.
I like that. I just love the idea, especially living in Florida. We do have storms that come through. And, we've got on our new home, we've got propane set up. So we've got the stove on propane. Yeah. We've got the fireplace, as well. And if we were to add this, or when we do, I know it's just a matter of when, right? When we add this, worst case scenario, talk to me about how that would play off if a storm would come out and, we would have some downtime.
Absolutely. Well, there's new technology is coming. I mean, for right now, they do have some battery backups, but careful with the slick sales guy and a battery backup because they're oversold. I mean, they're not going to run your whole house. Most aren't strong enough to run the AC. But luckily, we're a Generac dealer as well. So, and to really give people the safety when the storm comes and the power is lost, we do have a Generac option that could help you avoid power loss.
One critical note here is that the state of Florida and the utility companies have a legislation in place to provide that they are not allowing you to put utility on the grid unless they're up. So if utilities are down, you can't just start flooding the grid with your power from your solar panels because you're going to risk damaging some folks that are working on the lines down the line. So there's legislation in place that prevents you from just operating your own power company, being your own power company out there. So the state of Florida and the government in general is providing incentive. This is the direction they want you to go. They're giving you the tax credit that Travis mentioned, and they're giving you incentive to move this way. Soon enough, you'll become independent. I feel like as soon as a certain percentage of voters out there have this option to power themselves, that you'll see some legislation start to move in that direction. But right now, it's a question of safety for the utility workers and people, making sure that we have a handle on how many folks out there are generating their own power.
Right, because it'll feed back the line. Is that what's happening?
That's exactly right, and it is dangerous for a lineman working up the road. If he was unexpected load came his way for the lines, it is dangerous. I agree. Right. But I mean, without saying too much, I mean, technology is on our side, so give it time, and I'm sure there's ways that will help with that as well.
So we'll be able to track it at some point and understand it better.
Eventually, I think technology will catch up, and I think the consumer will be able to take advantage of that. Very, very helpful for him.
Yeah, it's interesting. So we're talking with Travis Mcintire here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, representing 3D Solar. You've heard David Ringo on the show as well. We got James D. Jerome sitting in as well, our executive show producer. Travis, what else you want to talk about? I know you mentioned tax incentives or tax rebates.
Correct. The tax credit. One thing I forgot to say when I was mentioning how many megawatts that we've installed, solar has added 10,300 jobs to the state of Florida since they've started.
Wow.
They added 1,769 jobs in 2018 alone. Now, that's a good sign for the economy of Florida as well.
That's a great stat.
You bet. Very proud of that.
That is a great stat.
Now, the tax credit is something else I'd like to talk about. I don't know if you had a particular question that you wanted to start with.
Yeah, just give us an overview of what it actually means.
Okay, all right. Well, what it means to most homeowners is that when they're listening to an undertrained salesperson, they're going to have a nightmare on their hands because not everybody is eligible for the tax credit. You have to pay tax. I'm not an accountant. I do want to say that, and I'm not going to pretend to be or try to clown up the accountant world. But when it comes to tax credit, it works like this. Right now, they're offering it 30% through 2019. 2020, it'll go down to 26%. and they'll start to graduate it down to eventually, hopefully, it'll
Now, Travis, you say 30%. That's 30% of the cost of the entire solar
Think
system.
about this. Yeah, correct. If you had a $20,000 solar system, and that's $6,000 in the tax credit the government's going to offer you.
Okay.
But you have to use it through your taxes. Now, you have to be careful out there as the average consumer because not everybody's going to qualify. If you're retired and you don't have taxable income, or if you have a very low income and don't pay very many taxes, you're not going to be eligible. And where it's mainly misunderstood with people is, let's say, hypothetically, I make $70,000 a year. Not all $70,000 of that income is taxable. People have deductions, they have kids, they have things on there. So you need to talk to your accountant to make sure that you can take advantage of it fully, or a tax professional.
But it is there, and they are pushing you that direction.
That's right. Yep. Be careful with the salespeople, because what will happen is that the finance companies, they know that you're getting a tax credit, and they try to.
We're going to save that for the other side of this, Travis. So stay with us right here, Consumer Quarterback Show. We'll be right back after the short break.
Thanks for listening to my daddy's show. For more information, go to consumerqb.com.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com.
This is the Cannabis Podcast, powered by True Leaf on Radio Influence. It's an inside look and the scientific facts in and around the world of medical cannabis. Now, here is your host, Ian Beckles.
He's a successful entrepreneur, published author, top listing agent, a real estate and finance expert that goes to bat for you every day as a consumer advocate. Your host and the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes. Listening to the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, online at consumerqb.com. Brandon is Tampa Bay's #1 consumer advocate for real estate and financial advice. Call Brandon today at 813-670-7372.
All right, welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us. Brandon Rhymes here. I'm your host of the Consumer Quarterback Show, powered by the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. PlatinumMVPTeam.com. And we're back here in studio. We're helping you win. This segment is brought to you by the Bilmar Beach Resort, our official hotel partner of the Consumer Quarterback Show. The Bilmar Beach Resort over on beautiful Treasure Island is filled with fantastic and generous amenities to make your vacation that much more special. And the Bilmar Beach Resort has been one of the most sought-after destinations in the Treasure Island area for many years. They've got 2 pools on site, Sloppy Joe's Restaurant, 2-beer beach is what Clyde Smith calls it, and he's the general manager. Give him a call over at the Bilmar Beach Resort. Let him know that the Real Estate Quarterback sent you. Take him up on special offers and incentives, and treat yourself to a nice vacation over at the Bilmar Beach Resort on beautiful Treasure Island, the official hotel partner of the Consumer Quarterback
Just spoke
Show.
to Clyde. He told me so busy over there he couldn't make it over for the show. I wanted to get him on the show.
Oh,
He's
wow.
like, man, I can't do it. We're slammed over here.
Slammed. It's that time of year.
Spring break plus the weather and everything. Everyone's coming down. It's time to get over there.
Awesome, man. That's good stuff. So we got a couple of hot listings here. Platinum MVP Team at Keller Williams Realty, 4101 Coquina Key Drive, and that's over in St. Pete, South St. Pete. Beautiful opportunity, waterfront home I just listed last week, and it's got 4 bedrooms, 2.5 bath, 2-car garage, Coquina Key, deep water access to the beautiful bay and the Gulf beaches around the corner as well. And we've got a hot property listing as well at 11556 110th Terrace. This is a great opportunity for an investor, maybe a family home here at 11556 110th Terrace. This property is just listed. We're waiting on professional photography to come in, but it's a great opportunity. You're right around the corner from the bike pathway, the Dunedin Trail, Pinellas Trail, and it's a great opportunity here in beautiful Tampa Bay. All right, so in studio we got Travis Mcintire representing 3D Solar, James D. Jerome in the house as well, executive show producer with the Consumer Quarterback Show, and so we look at how things have slowly progressed, in Florida. Right. We talked about how in the past, I think New Jersey was like a leading state, and we're known as the Sunshine State.
Right.
So we got the Sunshine State here, and of course, real estate being such a major part of the economy in Tampa Bay and the Gulf Coast region of Florida, and when you're able to add solar to, an asset, you're going to increase the marketability of that asset. You're going to increase the functionality of that asset. You're the independence, and not only that, you're doing something good for Mother Earth.
Right. That's the part. You come at it from 2 different directions. The financial part is there. Absolutely, it's there. What about the idea of taking some stress off the grid and cleaning? Taking a step forward for a cleaner environment. A lot of people feel that's just as important. So when it comes down to savings, maybe your savings is only 10-15%. What about the green side of it? What about the feeling good about the idea that you're providing a little something for your kids,
Yeah, being a leader out there and leading, those younger generations, we're leaving this planet to them, and that's a big part of it, Travis. I mean, I think that's key. That's probably where a lot of David's initial motivation came from.
You just mentioned something very important to me as far as why I do this job. I do this for the environment because I know when I put my head on the pillow and close my eyes, I made it a better world by what I did.
Yeah.
Every solar system that I put on a home reduces a carbon footprint for not just the person in the home, but for everybody.
Right.
And what we're not thinking about is our people that are coming on deck, say 200 years from now, is something we need to start thinking about now. Because if we continue the depletion of a natural resource,
no question,
it's gone. It's not coming back. And with renewable energy, every day the sun comes up, you have a whole new shot of producing another day of energy every single day.
Yeah.
So we have to take advantage of that.
And Brandon said the Sunshine State, and it's true. It's everywhere. It's a question of when it's financially practical and when it makes sense, the most sense for you. But environmentally, it's already there. It makes sense now. There's no reason to wait.
Yeah,
this is the time to do it. When your specific financial position makes it advantageous, you figure, hey, my utility payments at such amount that this is going to be a reduction there, and I'm not so worried about laying out the loan. It's definitely financially, makes sense for you. It's a question of how big that margin is going to be. But the green side's, it can't be any more direct. It's just right in front of you. Reduce the amount of coal dependence, reduce the dependence on the grid, just a cleaner environment, period.
Yeah, and I was watching a show yesterday. You ever see those doomsday preppers? Yeah. You ever see those shows? Yeah. I watched the one, and it said something. There was a stat that was amazing to me. It was almost alarming. There's something like 18 million Americans that live within, I think, 20 or 30 miles of a nuclear plant.
Oh, wow.
So if something, worst case scenario, were to happen, and they use the example of a 9/11, an airplane flying into a building, somebody, terrorist, whoever, whatever, hitting one of those plants, there's thousands, millions of people that are going to be, in really bad shape because of that.
I tell you, it's you've got to think of all the contingencies now. Unfortunately, the world we live in, you never can say, well, that won't happen.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, just about anything can happen. It seems like just about anything could and will.
It should, yeah, or it could, yeah, absolutely. So the Consumer Quarterback Show, we talk a lot about here, on the show, ways to live a better life and avoiding commission-based advice. Travis, give us an example of what you see from some other competitors and some other companies out there. I mean, they lead in a lot of times with commission-based advice. Mm-hmm. They're not providing the full picture. Maybe they're omitting facts, misleading some people. What should our listeners be aware of and conscious of?
That's a great question. I'm glad you asked me that. And I ran into it Saturday. I was sitting there talking to a customer, and he'd already had 2 bids. And I was talking to him about my monitoring app for the system, which allows you to see what you're producing daily. And he looked at me and goes, well, the salesman before you said that yours did not have a monitoring app.
So the previous salesman talked about your product.
My system that I have on my house, actually. So I pulled out my phone and I pushed the Enlighten app, and I looked and I showed him. I was like, no, that's not true.
So the previous guy said you can't monitor the production of your solar panels with your smartphone.
No, and I have it actually on my own home. So it was almost comical. And he realized, oh my gosh. And so that answer your question, that's it. I mean, it's undertrained salespeople that are smelling a quick buck, and they're getting out there trying to talk about something they don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah, you can hide behind technology sometimes because this is a technical thing. We're talking about the power generated by the sun, the panel itself. There's an inverter. There's a lot of technical jargon. I could see how somebody could use that to make that over somebody's head if they chose to.
Oh, absolutely. Sure. And the first thing I say when I sit with a customer, the first thing I say to them is, do not worry about buying today. I want to just take that pressure off, because you can see in their eyes they're nervous. They're sitting in a defensive position, right. and they're a little nervous of you. So I take the pressure off. So look, let's not buy today. Let's educate today, and I'm going to earn your business. I'm not going to have some hard sales pitch to you and have you sign a contract and wondering when I left in an hour, did I do the right thing? Because when you sign up with 3D Solar, you did do the right thing, because you got a company that's going to back you up and help you, and you will save the money we promised.
Wow,
crazy
that's cool. Story. I got to
tell
you, Brent, just that you mentioned about David and 3D, a little bit about versus the competition. The first time I'm sitting there talking to David, no lie, just a walk-in guy comes into the office and says, I was involved in a sale with you guys, and I'm a little concerned because my production's not quite meeting. He had some concerns about the production of the panels. Instead of, I could see he was nervous about even bringing this to the company. David sits down with the guy. He goes back, drives all the way back to Fort Myers or something.
Yeah.
So you drive back to Fort Myers. They do an analysis on the job. He kind of figures out what's best for the situation. He adds a couple of panels to the deal, moves it all around, no charge. The whole thing played out in front of all of us right there live in the office. So I mean, you're dealing with a guy who cares. His major motivation is he wants to do the right thing. His biggest fear is to see someone he's had to deal with and not be proud, not to run right up to him and go, "How was that? I mean, are you loving it?"
Yeah,
because that's the experience he wants everyone to have.
That's a stand-up guy right there.
Yeah. Correct, because solar's so new. You're literally, I mean, we are the cutting edge on. That's what we are. I mean, you're literally on the beginning of a phase that's going to take over the entire world, not just the United States. I hope so.
Yeah, we're talking with Travis Mcintire here, 3-dsolar.com, and talk to us about what people are using it for. We talked a lot about the solar, the panels, and reducing and sometimes even eliminating the electric bill. Right. Are they using it also to power pools? Pools? Well,
you can, but there was the thermal pool systems that they had on the roof where it actually shot water up to the roof.
I'm sure you've seen them before. It's like a big canvas. It looks like a bag. They can hold water.
Yeah, the black plastic.
Right. Yep.
I won't go into details as far as why we don't use those, but we prefer using a heat pump. And if you have a heat pump, during the wintertime, you're going to use your pool, but you're not going to use your AC. So they kind of offset each other slightly. You do want to, it depends on the size of the pool, and it depends how warm the customer wants the pool, how many panels that I would add to compensate for the pool heater running during the wintertime.
So it's a whole new way of doing it. The idea of moving the water up to a place and warming it and then putting it back in the pool. David's saying during the summertime, you're not going to want the water sitting up on your roof leaking up there, so why even bother with that? Just heat it when it's cold. Do that using a solar panel system. That way it's a little more efficient. And when it's cold, you get a warm pool. And when it's warm, you don't need to warm
it. You just want to put a solar blanket on just to keep the heat in the pool, plus it prevents from evaporation as well. So if you use those two and you stay conservative, you can't have a hot tub. You cannot make your pool 102. You'll get the biggest electric bill of your life.
Yeah.
But you can have a nice 80-degree pool and swim nicely during the winter.
I'm amazed at how many of those systems, when you look from above and you're looking at roofs, Travis, of course, has showed me how to analyze neighborhoods from above using Google Earth or something. How many of those leak, those thermal pools? There's a lot of people that have a big mold line or a leak line on their roof they don't even realize because it just naturally is going to leak. You got a bunch of gallons of water sitting on your roof all year long.
Right.
And the nice thing, too, whenever you're using solar panels in order to heat the pool as well, you're doing two things. One, you're knocking out your bill, plus you're getting to heat your pool. With thermal, you only have one purpose, and that's only to heat the pool. So the nice thing is you'll have multiple things you can do with the system.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yep.
All right, stay with us right here at Consumer Quarterback Show. When we come back, we're going to talk more about solar real estate here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, helping you win in any marketplace. And we have our lightning round coming up, and also our feel-good story of the day. Detroit Tigers pitcher Matthew Boyd is saving children in Uganda from sex slavery. Find out right here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
Hey, I'm Ken Shamrock, and you're here with Consumer Quarterback Show. And I say, Brandon Rhymes, knock out your competition.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com.
This is the Cannabis Podcast, powered by True Leaf on Radio Influence. It's an inside look and the scientific facts in and around the world of medical cannabis. Now, here is your host, Ian Beckles.
He's a successful entrepreneur, published author, top listing agent, a real estate and finance expert that goes to bat for you every day as a consumer advocate. Your host and the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes. You're listening to the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. Online at consumerqb.com.
And we're back. Brandon Rhymes here, your host of the Consumer Quarterback Show, powered by the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. And we'd love to help you buying, selling, or investing. We would love to help you with your real estate decisions out there. This segment is brought to you by Replenish IV Solutions, the science of nutritional balance. Say hello to Steve and Lisa Gunnan over at Replenish IV Solutions. They're located on Gandy Boulevard. They also have a new location in Carrollwood, right there at Bears and Del Mabry. Replenish IV Solutions, the science of nutritional balance. And they're going to inject vitamins, minerals, electrolytes right into your bloodstream and help you get it directly to your cells where you need the healing, and helping you recover from those weekend warriors, sometimes those activities on the weekends. Amino acids, they got health and wellness, performance, weight loss, ozone therapy, and much more. Replenish IV Solutions. Give them a call. Let them know the real estate quarterback sent you. And a couple of hot listings here for this segment. We've got a property available at 1701 Mariner Way in Tarpon Springs. This is a great opportunity. It's about a half an acre on a corner lot, close to the water as well. You're right down the road from the Intercoastal Waterway, 1701 Mariner Way. in Tarpon Springs. Completely renovated property, beautiful home, light color kitchen's got a fireplace, and just a great corner lot in beautiful Tampa Bay.
There's your solar panels, Travis. Put them right up there. They fit right in there.
Yeah, that's a lot of sun on that roof. Yeah. That is a lot of opportunity for panels on that one. We've got 40. The next property I want to talk about is 1401 Seminole Boulevard in Tampa. This is a vacant lot. This is a commercial opportunity. 1401 Seminole Boulevard just listed this property last week. Owner super motivated. Great opportunity to own a corner piece of land, 0.82 acres. You got 200 feet of frontage within the city of Largo. Great for a convenience store, a restaurant, a liquor store. I mean, could be a lot of opportunity there at that corner location at 1401 Seminole Boulevard. A couple of hot real estate properties from PlatinumMVPTeam.com. Every day, we're going to tell you something positive here in our Feel Good segment of the day. We're going to tell you something good here.
Tell me something good.
So Detroit Tigers pitcher Matthew Boyd is saving children in Uganda from sex slavery. Detroit pitcher Matthew Boyd and his wife Ashley have essentially adopted 36 girls in Uganda to protect them from the sex slavery industry. The Boyds have created their own nonprofit Kingdom Home, which provides a safe place for children in or at risk of entering in the sex trade. Located in Uganda, the home provides the rescued children with necessities such as food and clothing, but also education and spiritual guidance. Our children are free to be children. They are encouraged to learn, grow, and serve, their website says. Over the next 3 years, the Boyds want to build 4 new homes so they can bring in more girls because they feel that the need is so great. And you know what? We can end child sex trafficking in Uganda. The bad guys aren't smarter than us. We can end this. We can outsmart them. We can beat them to the kids. We can protect them, Matt Bolt told the Detroit Free Press. So there's our feel-good segment of the day.
Talk about making an impact.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I love to see when those athletes put that money to use.
Wow. Almost 40 children. That's incredible.
Yeah. He plans to do more, so that's awesome. All right, we got Travis Mcintire in the house, 3D Solar, James DeJerome, executive show producer with the Consumer Quarterback Show. And what else do you want to talk about, Travis? We got some good stuff here, man. We've covered a lot of ground.
Absolutely. I just want the homeowners to know that solar is real. To be careful with the slick sales guys. Usually people are getting multiple quotes, but one thing you want to do is get a quote from 3D Solar. We will come in. You're not allowed to buy from us the first time we come in unless you want to move forward that day. We'll assess your needs. We'll help you build your system. And if it doesn't make sense for you, then we're not going to sell it to you. But if it does, we're going to sell it to you and help you save money. And when you get those bills, it'll be exactly what we promised you they'd be.
Yeah. That's the key. There's a lot of moving parts in these deals, Brandon, because the amount of utility you consume, it varies. It's hot out, it's cold out, sun out. There's a lot of things to keep in mind. The main thing you want to do is find someone you can trust so that the information you're getting is going to be close to home. We have a lot of days where there's clouds in Florida. We have sunny days, we have cloudy days.
Yep.
So your production is not a consistent line. It's going to peak and valley. It's going to go up and down. It's going to be reflective of the environment. A lot of things are going to affect that. What you need to find is someone who's a trusted advisor that you can call and say, hey, listen, my production's a little down. Listen, it's based on an annual production. Mm-hmm. So at the end of the year, this is how much power you used. This is how much we can create for you. We're trying to hit that number for you. One thing that I've learned through Travis is a lot of times people think now power is free. We put solar panels on my roof. It's free now. So they crank the air down to 60. They start turning the hot water up. They just use as much. Well, your consumption still matters.
Right.
You can only consume as much as you're producing. We want to hit that goal. It's the target, right, Travis?
That's exactly right. I totally agree with that. And one of the nice things about 3D Solar that we do is we actually put our production in writing on our contract. Mm-hmm. And that's how sure we are. We're going to size your system the right way and take care of you as a customer. And we shine after the sale, not before, but after is where we really shine. And we'll make sure that we do tell you what you're going to produce, what we tell you. It's in writing on our contract.
Give us some rough estimates of, if there's a homeowner out there that's thinking, okay, I've heard this, I might want to take some action here. I'm that type of person. I want to take action. Let's make a call here. Give us an idea. Standard home, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage. Mm-hmm. The roof has the nice exposure that you need to get that 2,000 square feet roughly. Mm-hmm. Give us an overview of what that might look like.
It's a great point. A lot of homeowners are doing that, especially when they see the solar trucks roll by their house and just install the neighbor. They're starting to think inside their mind. So normally I would say it's hard to give an exact or even a ballpark because consumption varies per house. I've seen a 3,000 square foot house use less than a 1,500 square foot house. It all depends on how you use the home. But what you should expect, if you have a $200 electric bill, my job would be to try to come in, give you a solar payment between $145, $165, so you could save $35 a month every month. And keep in mind, with inflation of 5% a year, in 10 years, you'll be paying 50% more to the utility than would you be for your solar.
Yep.
And in 10 years with your solar, you're just that much closer to paying it off and not having any bill at all.
Period. Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah, I like that.
It's awesome.
Especially like a home. You know, a lot of times people take that 30-year mortgage, but they double pay. They do the biweekly payment programs.
Correct.
Essentially, you're going to add 13 payment. And if they do that, they're not paying it in 30. They're paying about 23 years.
Not just that, but the actual hardware is warranted beyond the loan anyway. So there's no way that you're going to get burned. If the panel stops producing, it's guaranteed production. So as soon as it dips below 1%, it's on the manufacturer to come out and fix it.
Absolutely. The nice thing about that is, as well as like most of the people who take a 20-year note, our modules are warranty for 30 years.
Right.
And if you pay off in 11, that's 19 years of worry-free production on your roof, saving money. You just can't beat that.
And you know that TECO, FPL, the price is going to inflate over the next 20 years. You guarantee your cost of kilowatts going to go up.
Oh my gosh, that's a great point. Here's what the average consumer doesn't realize. Whenever TECO and Duke build these fields, they're going to raise people's rate to cover the cost of constructing
Sure.
them.
It's not
Even
going
though
to
they're
get
going to save tons and tons of money with the kilowatts the sun will produce, they're going to still bill the customer, and that's not fair.
Yeah, good point on that, because we have seen in the papers, they're adding these X amount of square feet of solar farms, whatever they're calling it.
Yep.
Talk to us about that.
And they're charging you more for it. I mean, for instance, that one in Hernando County that they just got approved, it's a 900-acre. I don't want to cover farmland. I'm from Illinois, a farm ground. I don't want to do that.
Right.
If we put them on the rooftops, we won't have to. And the utility companies don't want to do that because they lose control.
Right.
Duke will have control of every single kilowatt hour coming out of that field, and it's a whole lot more they're going to give back to the college.
Wow, that's a great point, man.
No
Travis.
one thinks about that.
So they're not, they're taking away arable land.
Yeah.
To we could, future crops. So I mean, who knows what we're going to need with our in Florida. The population. Another great point. The population just a couple years ago, we surpassed New York as the third most populated state in the union.
Correct.
So here we are on an upward trend, and they're taking away arable land. Bad decision.
Not to mention that they're reducing their costs and inflating your costs.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's becoming cheaper for them to produce, and your price is going up.
Because it's a shell game for them, right?
Sure is. Put it on the rooftop. Let people own. Take control of your bill.
That's
and go
right.
solar and own your power like you should.
Put it on the rooftop. I like
Gosh
that.
darn right, with 3D Solar.
I want to take a moment to invite you to an event that we've got coming up on Thursday, April 18th, 6 to 9 p.m. over at Nickel, it's a really cool New York kitchen lounge right behind the Lucky Dill right here in Tampa, across from the International Mall. Be Your Own Brand is the event that we're putting on. Learn how to brand yourself and stand out. It's going to be Thursday, April 18th, 6 to 9 p.m. over at Nickel, 4606 West Boy Scout Boulevard. And it's a great opportunity for you to come out and network with about 100 other business owners, managers, sales reps, and be your own brand. It's going to be on the April 18th. Save that date coming up. It's going to be a good time, and you'll meet a lot of our expert contributors there as well. But so let's go ahead and jump into our lightning round here.
The lightning round!
I am so good at lightning rounds!
I majored in lightning rounds.
All right, so lightning round. We got some top tips, nuggets of advice, parting words of wisdom. Travis Mcintire, 3D Solar.
I like to say solar's not too good to be true. Do your part, guys. We got to do something. Before you leave this earth, put solar on your roof. Save yourself money and save the carbon footprint for the people that are coming behind you.
I like it. James D. Jerome.
I'd say, solar technology represents the future, and technology is not going to stop. There's going to be another generation, another generation, another generation. Be prepared to embrace that. Be prepared to embrace technology and put yourself in a position to take advantage of all the tools that are offered to you. As a homeowner now in Florida, this has become financially practical for you. Do your homework, find a trusted advisor, look into it, and make a decision based on the next 30 years. Not the cheapest price this year, but who's going to be there for 30 years to support this? Because this is something you're going to leave behind. And we're talking a lot about legacy and kids and the future and the environment. This is a smart play. Do your homework and make the best decision you can.
Yeah, and about a minute left, Travis, but I wanted to ask you, just taking from 5 years ago, 7 years ago, like how much better is the product now versus 5, 7, 10 years ago?
Tenfold. I mean, it's a better production, more efficiency, and it's really exciting to be in an industry to see growth like this. And really the growth is for everybody listening. It's for the world. I mean, this is who it's for. It's for us, not just for one company, but for everybody.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, thanks to Travis Mcintire. Say hello to David Ringo for us and
Yes,
the whole
sir.
team over there at 3D Solar. James D. Jerome always doing a great job here on the show, producing, as well as our team with WeBeam TV, Rob and John. Everybody behind the scenes putting together a great show. Thanks for our listeners, our viewers out there. We're on Apple TV, Amazon TV, Roku, Sony TV, 85 other outlets now, and we're really excited about the growth here around the show, and we'd love to connect with you. ConsumerQB.com. Please reach out to our website, ConsumerQB.com, and you can go ahead and text the word solar if you want more information. Text solar to 813-670-7372. Just simply text the word solar to 813-670-7372, and we'll put you in touch with our expert contributors here, Travis Mcintire from the Consumer Quarterback Show. And please go out there, consider committing a random act of kindness, pack up some food or clothing, carry it with you to and from your commute, hand it to that person that you see in need, and be a force for good in the community. We'll see you next time right here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, ConsumerQB.com.
You've been listening to the Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes. Whether it's real estate, consumer, or financial advice, let Brandon call your next play. Contact Brandon Rhymes at 813-670-7372. That's 813-670-7372. Online at ConsumerQB.com. And join us next time for the Consumer Quarterback Show, weekday afternoons at 5 on AM 1380. The Biz.
Are you a real estate agent looking to take your business to the next level and supercharge your marketing? Hi, I'm Brandon Rhymes, owner of Platinum MVP Realty and host of the Real Estate Quarterback Show, syndicated radio and TV show talk program on iHeartRadio, 1025 The Bone, daily 5 o'clock drive time on 1380 The Biz, and our TV show is on WeBeam TV. We're looking for real estate agents that want to join our team and supercharge their marketing utilizing some of our innovative strategies. We utilize the Real Geeks platform, Facebook marketing, internet marketing, and a lot of the traditional methods as well. Postcard mailers mailed for you, postage, signage, business cards, all paid for by the company. Aggressive real estate splits and ways to help you win in any marketplace. We need you to go out, take applications, and work our plethora of leads that we're generating on a daily basis. Reach out by clicking the form below, and we'd love to have a confidential interview with you.